Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.
Hi, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I am your host, Temple Custer Montanez, with the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And once again, we are down at 150 West Main Street. We've spent a lot of time here this summer, but that's a good thing because there's been so much going on. And of course, in the past couple weeks, we've had the Lancaster Festival and things gearing up for Art Walk, and just a lot of activity, arts camps, things of that nature. But the reason that we're back down here today is we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the really cool changes that are happening, not only within 150 West Main Street and Art and Clay, but with Blue Shoe Art. And with me today is the coordinator of a new program. She's not new to Blue Shoe Art or 150 West Main Street. She's been with us, 4 or 5 years now. Yep. Okay. And this is Pam Whiteley. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to be with us. You know, a lot of people... I think probably now for the last 6 or 7 years have become very familiar with the Blue Shoe Art Studio. Tell us a little bit of the history of Blue Shoe Art, and we'll talk a little bit about how it's evolved.
Sure. Blue Shoe started in the adult day service out at the Opportunity Center. I think it was Fairfield Industries originally. And it was really just an alternative to the work that they did on the lines. And it was a creative outlet. And so I think it's evolved from more of a collaborative studio to an independently driven studio. So each artist is able to express themselves individually, as it should be. And so now we're evolving even further. They moved it out of the what they call the workshop or the adult day service to this location. And I think that was about 6 years ago or something, maybe a little bit longer. But so that was a nice transition, and still, though, the art was being created on a collaborative basis, and now being individually, since I've been here for the last 4 or 5 years, we're actually changing the studio from the what they call an accessible art studio to an artist in residency program.
Okay, so Blue Shoe Art started out as a workshop type environment for adults with disabilities, a way that they could collaborate, learn art skills, learn basic art concepts. From that, you took it to more of individualized art. And so a lot of times people would come into Art and Clay on Main and 150 West Main Street and see the artwork that was up that was done by individual artists. So now we're at 2016, and you're saying that really Blue Shoe has graduated, has evolved, is no more, has blossomed into something completely different. And that is why when you come down to Art and Clay, you won't see the artwork on the walls per se anymore yet. We're hoping that we get it back up there. But it won't be from the Blue Shoe Art Studio. So Blue Shoe Art Studio has manifested into a what?
I'll backtrack just a little bit. You should have just started that because you did a much better job at explaining that than I did. But each artist being individually, the thing that I've always wanted them to be able to do, and I think they can, I believe, is to be promoted and I don't want to say compete, but be marketed in a professional way. I feel like they are on the same level as professional artists or any other emerging artist. When the studio before was set up to have any artist, any person who was willing or wanted to create. Didn't really matter what they created. Sometimes they just liked being here. I think they liked the atmosphere. They liked being around people. And what we've done is just kind of split that up a little bit so that if you do want to do that, you can come take a class. Or we have open studio on Friday, so you could come on Friday if we're doing watercolors and you just want to play and have fun and see what you can do with watercolors. And then the artists who are a little bit more driven and know what they want to do, but they're not really quite sure how to do it, or they need the feedback of the community atmosphere that we have in the studio, they would apply for the artist in residency program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this did take me a while, though, to figure it out. So if you're not familiar with what an artist in residency program is, in layman's terms, basically, any artist in the community, whether they have disabilities or whether they do not have disabilities, is eligible to apply for an internship, if you will, or an artist in residency, which is a duration of time, and these vary, correct? where the artist can come into the space at 150 West Main Street, do their art, whatever form, whatever medium they choose. They can come in here, they can do that artwork in a community environment with other artists and with a professional artist on staff to be able to give feedback, to collaborate with ideas, techniques, or maybe even just be out in the community as opposed to in their own personal studio space. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes, absolutely. And there's an application process. So any emerging artist that's local to the community who's interested in that atmosphere, who needs to kind of, because you might have a studio at home, but you're not around other artists, and that's really important for growth, I think. And so our application is online at 150westmainstreet.com, and you would fill that out. We just require that you do an artist statement, a professional bio, and then a portfolio that you would submit to us. And then we have a panel review, and we're going to do it twice a year. So January 1st and July 1st is when those will take place. And in the panel, we'll have other local community artists sit on that so that we get a nice, well-rounded perspective. I think that's helpful. And then, so whatever your project is, so you propose that, you want to create a body of work and it's going to take you a year to do so, you would just put that in your proposal along with your reasons for why.
Okay. So the end result then is that you do create a body of work and then perhaps have a show that also, one of the benefits of being in the Artist in Residence program is that we will help market that show to the community. What I think is really brilliant about this program, and I guess it's not a program, we don't say program, but about the Artist in Residency program is that it has nothing to do with whether you're an adult with a disability or not. However, we are encouraging adults with disabilities to partake in this program. And with that, you get a marriage of ideas and a marriage of abilities between people with disabilities and people without. And that really speaks to the direction that not only Fairfield County Board of DD is taking, but county boards across the state and across the nation are taking. A lot of people aren't real familiar with all the changes that are coming, but in a nutshell, we're getting rid of a lot of day services and programs from a county board perspective, and looking really more to inclusion and weaving the fabric of the community with all types of people. So we're not segregating any longer. And that includes Blue Shoe Art Studio. It's not a segregated art studio anymore. It's one that's open to the entire community, which is a great place to be. I mean, when you think about the world of disabilities and how just 20 or 30 years ago what that looked like, sheltered workshops and lack of options, and now the whole world is opening up to adults and children with disabilities and to their families as well, and that community integration. This is such a great example of how to do that. I also think it's a really cool example though of how we don't have it all figured out yet. We don't know how it's all going to work. So tell me what it's been like for you to guide adults with disabilities through an application process for a first-time program when you're not 100% sure what it's going to look like.
Well, the interesting thing is I think that the process that they're undergoing is very similar to any other artist. On our panel this year, we had somebody who's applied for several artist in residencies. And it was interesting to get her perspective because I think when she started, she was in the exact same place as they were, with or without a disability. I don't think it mattered. The difference is that I think academically, a lot of the people that we work with, when they were in school, weren't exposed. And I work with adults, all the way up into their 70s or 60s, and so they haven't really worked on a computer. They don't know what it is to type something out or how to navigate through that. So it was a big learning experience to do all of that, or even to be able to learn how to talk about yourself. I think that's really hard, especially to describe yourself as an artist. Sometimes the artwork that's being created is so subconscious. They don't really know why they do the things they do. And so when they sit down and think about it, I think that's a kind of an interesting perspective or something that they're able to learn, like, wow, that is why I do those things. And so I think the whole process was really cool and eye-opening for them. And if they continue and they want to apply for another residency after their project's over, I feel that it'll only get easier and easier. And that in addition to what they're doing here, they will also, our intention is to get outside of the studio. So go and meet other artists and because I think that that's very important, to see other artwork and to meet go to other shows and that kind of learn how to shop for your own supplies. Those are things that they never have to do before because it was always taken care of, and that's just not necessary anymore.
Right. And I think it can be very intimidating, like you said, for anybody to articulate what your artistic ideas are, because sometimes you just create, art for art's sake. You just create and you're not really sure where it came from. And a lot of times we put art out there and leave it to the interpretation of the viewer. So it is quite challenging to ask anybody, what their drive is, what their vision is, and then to articulate that and put that onto paper and into forms can get a little sticky. Do you anticipate that there are people in the community who will maybe be a little nervous about working in an open studio with people with disabilities?
They might be. I think the people that I anticipate wanting to be here will be hungry for that. They'll be looking for that perspective of working with other people and around other people. I know that artists can be reclusive, and they like to kind of be in their own space, and I love it. And I think that that's necessary too. But then to have a place that you can go where you're around other like-minded artists and they can ask questions. Oh, I never really thought about that. And you can get those other perspectives. So I'm hoping that, even this art walk this year, that other artists will, I'd like to see what other artists are doing in the community and see if there's something that maybe they could get out of coming down here.
Right. Well, and the good news is we have some new postcards and rat cards and pamphlets for anybody that's interested in participating in the Artist in Residence program. This explains everything as far as how to go about the paperwork and how to fill out, all the different application processes. And these are available here at 150 West Main Street, or also by calling at 653-1755. And Pam, like you said, this is well underway now, but you will be starting a whole nother application process come January. Is that correct?
Yeah, the next deadline will be January 1st.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I know that you've had a lot of interest, within former Blue Shoe artists. How many of those artists are participating in the program?
I believe we have five of them that are transferring over, and then we have 2 local artists who actually have applied and been accepted. So.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I know one of those artists is in the studio today, and we're excited to talk to her and kind of get her perspective, what it's like to be an artist and why she would choose to work at 150 West Main Street as opposed to in a private studio space. So, Pam, when we come back, we're going to talk with her, and we'll see you in just a moment. Hi, and welcome back to Fairfield Today. I am your host, Temple Custer Montanez, with the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And I'm at 150 West Main Street today, and happy to be here as always. I'm with studio coordinator Pam Whiteley and with a fantastic artist, Peggy McDivitt. Good morning, Peggy.
Well, good morning, Temple. Thank you very much.
Well, it's nice to have you here. We're talking a little bit about how Blue Shoe Art Studio, which many people are familiar with, has really progressed and evolved into an artist in residence program. And we've talked a little bit about what that means and how we've opened up the studio to artists in the community. And I understand that you happen to be one of the artists in the community.
I'm very tickled.
So tell me, Peggy, why? I mean, why if you can have a studio anywhere, why choose to be involved down at 150 West Main Street in a program that is not predominantly for adults with disabilities, but definitely marketed to adults with disabilities? What's the pro? What's the reward?
Well, the reward is I'm a local artist. For 45 years, I've worked at home in my own studio alone. Now and then I'll have somebody come in and work with me, but generally I work alone. So I came here and sat down with the artists, and after a while I realized my art had totally changed. They encourage me, they all do something different, it's supportive, and I've dropped a couple friends I do art with, and now stay here with these artists because I learned my work has totally changed since coming here.
Do you think that you see them now as artists instead of as adults with disabilities who happen to do art?
Oh, I don't even think about it. I mean, actually, I'm in awe of what they do. I feel humbled what they do. I mean, some of the work that they do is far superior than what I could do. I'm lucky they let me in, is the way I look at it.
And did you find that the process of applying for an artist in residence program, was that difficult? Was it pretty simple?
I thought it was excruciating. To be perfectly blunt, I haven't had to pull anything together like that and to try to figure out why I do, what I wanted to learn, what I'm all about took a lot of time and thought. And I mean, the end result is I'm very happy I did it. but it was excruciating trying to figure out, well, what do I want to learn and what do I do and why do I do it? And actually what really helped is listening to the other artists, listening to Pam talk to them, because like I told her, I see her lips moving, but I don't get it. And they would ask a question and then I would listen to her response to them. So collectively, all the artists and I got it together, but it was some process. I'm very happy to have done it, but it was hard.
Do you think, Pam, that doing the process also lends a little bit more merit to the program?
Totally. What we wanted it to be like, and as it should be, is like any other artist in residency program throughout the world, which they're all different in their own way. But the process is pretty similar. And if you wanted to have a show in a gallery in the Short North, you're going to have these elements. And so why not create them with some support so that you can put together something that's nice and professional, so that you could go have a show anywhere you would want to go. I mean, the process is pretty similar no matter what you do. And because I won't be, normally as a studio coordinator, I would take on that responsibility. But instead, we're enabling these artists to learn how to do these things themselves, as they should, and they can. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, tell me, what is your goal in the coming year with your artist in residency?
My goal is to bring my art to a finer level, to a more professional level. I pretty much have all the basics, but I don't have the depth that I want in my work. I don't have that finishing touch to make it perfect. So that's my goal.
Well, I think as an artist for you, you're a textile artist, but you've done anything from quilting to doll making to, tons of different things. And so now really getting into the painting and the mixed media painting, but then how do we make that cohesive? How do we gel that together to make it make sense? And I think that's where you're hoping to go with that, yeah.
Definitely.
Well, great. And you're going to do it surrounded by colorful friends who are...
Oh, yes, and I feel so lucky that I'm with them. And what was so interesting with this is we learned about each other. And we all had the same common theme that I was told in school I couldn't draw, I couldn't paint. I didn't think I was an artist, and they've all had the same experience. So together, we all have the same experience, all negative. And so Pam has helped us feel like we're an artist. I didn't know I was an artist.
I'd like to be an artist. I think I'm a long way off. But if there are people out there who are artists that are interested in looking for that sense of community and collaboration under the guidance of a professional artist in a really cool, vibrant, fun space, we certainly encourage you to check out the new Artist in Residency program at Art and Clay on Main. And congratulations to all the Blue Shoe artists on graduating into this new program. It's fantastic, and congratulations to you, Peggy. If you have any questions about the Artist in Residency program at Art and Clay on Main, we encourage you to give them a call at 740-653-1755, or you can check out all the information on the website at www.150westmainstreet.com. Until then, thank you, ladies, as always, for enlightening us, and we look forward to seeing all your artwork. This is Temple Custer Montanez with the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and we'll see you next time.
Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.